Oh, 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 oh,
According to the Upper Skagit Indian tribe, they are eternally tied to the Skagit River and the salmon that swim in it.
We're a salmon people, and salmon mean more than just money, more than just food. It's a way of life for us. We are tied to this river by blood.
Larry Peterson's ancestors lived along the Skagit for 10,000 years, where salmon formed the center of their nutritional, spiritual, and community bonds. But the salmon are disappearing, heading toward extinction.
It's heartbreaking. We are a river tribe. I really feel like it's ending a way of life for us. My children are robbed of that cultural aspect.
100 years ago, when the city of Seattle built 3 dams on the Skagit to generate electricity, no one consulted the Native Americans, and that's created painful consequences. For example, the utility built its company town of New Halem on Upper Skagit ancestral burial grounds. City Light has dried up a 3-mile section of the Skagit where it used to flow freely. And this is the stretch of the river the tribe considers the most sacred of all, what they call their Spirit Valley. Also, the city's dams flooded important cultural sites, sites now ruined underwater.
My children are losing what they're entitled to. They're entitled to be on this river. They're entitled to the time they have here with Mother Nature and their family.
This is where those entitlements began, in 1855 in Mukilteo, where the U.S. and Puget Sound Indian chiefs signed the Treaty of Point Elliott. The tribes gave away their lands to the federal government peacefully and in exchange retained one critical right.
The right to fish, as they had for centuries. In the treaty, it says the right of taking fish at usual and accustomed grounds and stations is further secured to said Indians.
It's the supreme law of the land.
Professor Charles Wilkinson from the University of Colorado is one of the country's foremost authorities on Indian law, history, and policy. He says fishing was the deal breaker, the one part of their culture the tribes weren't willing to give up.
So we end up with that promise being that way of life would be continued.
With salmon in serious decline, the Upper Skagit tribe rarely gets to exercise their treaty rights. They've gone from fishing 79 total days in 1980 to only 6 days in all of 2017. And since then, it hasn't gotten much better. Scientists from 3 tribes and federal agencies say Seattle's dams, which block off nearly 40% of the river, are a big part of the salmon problem. The agencies include NOAA Fisheries, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and the National Park Service. The only scientists on record saying the dams aren't part of the problem work for Seattle City Light.
Growing up with this stigma around Native Americans was hard.
20-year-old Janelle Schuyler's life changed 2 years ago when her dad brought her to the tribe's Spirit Valley, the portion of the river where City Light diverts the water out of the river.
And it really hurt me on an emotional level, like on a deep emotional level. And I wanted to seek out to Mayor Durkin and wonder why she allows this.
So she wrote the city's top boss, Mayor Jenny Durkin.
Dear Mayor Durkin, I'm writing today to share my feelings with you and ask some questions regarding the 3 hydroelectric dams.
She asked the mayor for help on the Skagit to urge the city's public utility to own up to the impacts caused by their dams.
I ask this for my people. I ask this for the salmon. I ask this for our sacred Skagit.
Janelle also asked to meet with the mayor in person. That was in 2019. And to date,
nothing. Yeah, nothing at all.
The mayor didn't respond to our most recent interview request, but City Light's CEO, Deborah Smith, answered our questions.
The tribe feels like the city is ignoring their concerns and has done so for about 10 years. What do you say to that?
Really, all I can do, Suzanne, is promise that going forward, our goal is to make sure that all the folks involved in this process with us, but particularly the tribes who do have treaty rights, that they feel listened to and heard.
Smith admits the utility's done a poor job of communicating with the tribe in the past, but she vows to change that.
What we're doing today is we're attempting to move forward to repair what we can.
The Treaty of Point Elliott was signed by the Upper Skagit's ancestor, Chief Pateas. It's also signed by Chief Seattle, the city's namesake, the most famous Pacific Northwest Indian chief of all.
On the era of social justice, this is a huge injustice to the tribe and to our people.
The tribe's policy director, Scott Schuyler, says the city is being hypocritical. Chief Seattle, signer of the treaty promising fishing rights, is the face of the city of Seattle and the logo of Seattle City Light.
There's a large amount of hypocrisy here that they need to come to terms with. I mean, you can talk the talk, but you're not walking the walk. You need to look in the mirror here, Seattle.